West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast. West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. I'm one half of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, Machel St. Patrick Hewitt, and it's just a little quick episode today. The final video, the final episode on everything concerning the India versus West Indies Test series. Got some content that I want to drop with regards to the ODI series against Bangladesh, so look out for that in the next 24 to 48 hours. But wanted to just wrap up the India series. We haven't done this in a while. Really haven't done this in a while because, I don't know, I think, truth be told, I think we used to do player ratings at the end of a series, and then one day I just got bored. I think I saw other people copying the style and the flavor, and I just said, you know what, can't be bothered no more. But this series, it feels like we should do a bit of a wrap on the series. Obviously, if you haven't watched it already, Santoki and I did a general review of the series and our major takeaways, hot takes, cold takes, call them what you want with regards to the series. But this particular video was just looking at each player individually and saying, okay, what would we score you out of 10? As ever, people, get in the comments below. I don't pertain to say that I'm right. This is just how I see it. Everybody's metric is different. Everybody's subjective on these particular things. So take it with a pinch of salt. But let me know what you think all the same. Let's get straight into it. Because we don't need to over talk this one. Let's start with the openers. So John Campbell in this series scored 8 and 14 in Ahmedabad, and then 10 and 115 in Delhi to end with an average in the series of 37. Now, bear in mind that John Campbell's general average is 25-26. You can't knock someone who ends a series 1 in 4. Remember, everything that we discuss now, by the way, is in the context of West Indian batters. We're not comparing them to players who play for Australia, South Africa, India, England, etc. We're comparing them to themselves. In the context of a West Indian performance, in the context of the fact that in the last cycle, we only saw 2 centurions in the last World Test Championship cycle. How can you undergrade somebody who's left with a century? If every series a West Indian top batter could leave with 1 century in the 4 innings or 6 innings they bat, pretty much any sane and rational West Indian fan would say, I'm taking that immediately. Like I say, given Campbell's average is 26 in Test cricket, 25, he ends this series with 37, his maiden Test ton. Granted, 3 other failures, one of which you could say was unlucky in the first innings in Delhi. The thing is, it depends on what... I want to say 7 out of 10, but I'm going to say 7.5. Some of you may say, Mash, that's harsh. He scored a century. But I don't... How high do you rate a century in the context of 3 other failures, which were sub-20s? I don't know. Is 8... I feel like 8 would be too high. So I'm going to say 7.5. Obviously, like I say, get in the comments. Anyway, and more importantly, is John Campbell's place now secure in the West Indies team? Yeah, he's secured for the next year. No one will be talking about drop John Campbell for a year. Tagenarine Chanderpaul came out of the wilderness to get back into the West Indies team. Only played 3 first-class matches before being recalled. But given Craig Brathwaite had been dropped, Machel Louis hadn't shown form to justify playing instead. They brought Tage in. And prior to the series, Darren Sammy said Tage is in because we think he can 1, bat balls and 2, negotiate spin. Well, his scores in the series were 0, 8, 34 and 10. He leaves the series with an average of 13. For those 52 runs that he scored, he faced 131 balls. I mean, strike rate of 39. So does that suggest that he was quite good actually at soaking up the balls? I mean, possibly. But when you leave with an average of 13, now Chanderpaul's test match average is now down to 29. Now, bear in mind that in those 12 matches he's now played, 23 test match innings, one of those scores is 207 not out. And despite that, his average is down to 29, which gives you an indicator of how many scores he's had below 50. Other than he's got 1 century and 150, a 50 in Australia when he made his Test match debut. Listen, again, highest score of 34, which in modern day West Indian standards is okay, but that was his, everything else was subpar. 2 out of 10 for Tagenarine Chanderpaul, and that's just because he got a 34. And again, remember, I'm rating players against West Indian standards, not against world standards. 2 out of 10 for Tagenarine Chanderpaul. Is his place secure for New Zealand? Yes. Can I see him getting rested at some point in the near future? Also, yes, particularly if he doesn't produce. If he's fit, goes to New Zealand and doesn't produce in the first 2 tests in New Zealand, I can see a change being made for sure. Brandon King. So Brandon King only played the first test. Shoulder armed to a ball, got bowled down, similar to what he did in the Australia series. In his 2 innings in Ahmedabad, he scored 13 and 5. Which means currently Brandon King's test match average after 4 test matches is 18, with obviously that score of 75 in one of the tests against Australia. Is Brandon King's test match career over? No, he'll go to New Zealand. He should go to New Zealand, but it was interesting that obviously for the second test, they brought Imlach into wicketkeeper, moved Shai Hope up. I would love to know what Darren Sammy's take is on Brandon King's test career so far. You can't write a man off after 4 tests. No way, particularly when he scored a 75 against Australia, the only 50 from a West Indian in that test series versus Australia. So there's obviously somebody of talent there. Brandon will go to New Zealand. He should go to New Zealand, but there will be scrutiny on him for sure. 13 and 4, 0 out of 10. Was it 13 and duck or 13 and 4? Let me just double check. I think it was 13 and 4. No, 13 and 5. Yeah, 0 out of 10 for Brandon King. Alick Athanaze. So Alick Athanaze was brought back for this series. A lot said from Darren Sammy about we've brought him back because he has an ability to play spin. We're expecting Indian spinners to dominate. They, on the whole, did. Athanaze played in both test matches, 4 innings, highest score of 41, leaves the series with an average of 25. Or for that series, his average was 25, which is just about his average in general in test match cricket. He scored 12, 38, 41, and 7. And the thing is, the 38 in Ahmedabad was actually decent. It was the highest score in the second innings. The 41 in the first innings against India was also decent. Was that the highest score? I think that was the highest score in the first innings as well. Let me just double. Yeah, that was a high score. So in 2 of the 4 innings, although he only averaged 25 in the series, Athanaze was the top scorer in 2 out of the 4 innings that he batted. If I'm keeping it completely real and staying true to the metrics that I set at the start of this video, I have to base his performance on West Indian standards and the standards of those around him. I feel like I've got to give him 5 out of 10 because even though he only averaged 25, when you top scored in 2 of the 4 innings that you bat in with a 38 and a 41, how am I supposed to cuss you? 5 out of 10 for Alick Athanaze on this tour. Next up, Roston Chase. So obviously Roston Chase, the captain. He, with the bat, he averaged 16, and he was actually our best bowler on tour. He got 5 wickets at 42 apiece, outbowled Warrican in terms of average, and outbowled Khary Pierre, right? So you can, that possibly says more about Warrican and Khary Pierre's performance than it does about Roston Chase, but the stats are the stats, right? The facts are the facts. 5 wickets of 42 apiece. I'm taking that. Economy 4.15. Obviously, he was more expensive than Warwick and Pierre, but he was more effective in terms of getting wickets, right? So we have to rate that from his bowling all-round perspective, right? But with the bat, and given he's the captain, Chase's scores in this series were, where are we? 24, 1, duck, 40. It's not good enough, is it? And he will know that for sure as well. What's Roston's test match average now? Roston's test match average with the bat is 25. With the ball, it's 46. And he's the captain. It's not good enough. He'll know it's not good enough, but at the same time, he's the captain, right? So with the bat 16, with the ball 42, but the best bowler in the team. If Brandon, who got 2 out of 10? Oh, Tage. Because of what Roston did with the ball, I feel like I have to give him 3 out of 10. I'm not happy with what he's done with the bat. Granted, he got a 40. But to be the best bowler in the side, let me give him 3.5, in fact. Let me give him 3.5 out of 10 because he's left the series as the best bowler in the side. So I feel like I've got to respect that, right? 3.5 out of 10 for Roston Chase. Some people are going to say Machel should get 0, but you know, it is what it is, right? Anyways, Roston keeps his spot. He's still the captain. He'll be captain in New Zealand. He's got some work to do in terms of making sure he makes more meaningful contributions with the bat. But for now, we move. Shai Hope. So Shai Hope leaves the series as our top run scorer in the series. He made the most runs in the 2 test matches, 166 runs across the 2 test matches. Leaves with the highest average, an average of 42. Obviously, Obviously, he had the gloves in the first test, then doesn't have them for the second because Tevin Imlach comes in. So Hope, let's take his in scores: 26-1 in Ahmedabad, and then 36 and 103 in Delhi. What did I give John Campbell? 7.5. I feel like I've got to. If John Campbell can get 7.5 for 115 and 3 scores under 20, then Hope can certainly, at the bare minimum, get 7.5 for a 26, 36 and 103. 7.5 for Shai Hope as well. And good for Shai Hope. Obviously, that's his 3rd test match century now, 2 in England, 1 in India. Still not a good enough conversion rate. Shai will know that. His average is still only 25 in spite of now scoring his 3rd test match century. But hopefully, Shai Hope will say, right, that's me now. I'm back. I'm about to show the world that I can make meaningful contributions in all formats of cricket. Worth reminding people that Shai Hope averages 50 in ODI cricket, 1800s, 2950s. He averages 28 in T20 internationals at a strike rate of 138, 100, 750s. He's conquered ODI. Once they conquered, as in he's told us or shown the world that he can dominate in ODIs. He's shown the world that he can adapt his game for T20 internationals. It's just about him now, before his career is over, have going on a bit of a generational run. Even if he goes on a generational run, Shai's average is still only going to hover at like 30, maybe 31 if he's lucky. But this should be, hopefully for Shai, the launching pad for the next 2 to 3 years of his test match career to say, right, let me just show people that everything that went before this, minus the 2 centuries at Headingley, were an aberration. I'm about to set pace and show levels on world cricket in this format of the game as well. But we shall see. 7.5 for Shai Hope. Tevin Imlach came in with the gloves for the 2nd test match, and he scored 21 and 12 with the bat, and he took 1 stumping in Delhi. I felt like he was on a bit of a hide into nothing in this, and any wicketkeeper who now comes in is on a bit of a hide into nothing in the West Indies team, because for me the bar has already been set. We've decided that Josh De Silva only averaging 25 in test match cricket isn't good enough, right? So the bar has been set for me. Anyone who comes in has to do that at the bare minimum. So Imlach thus far in his test match career, 3 test matches now, 2 in Pakistan, 1 in India, and his average is 15. He's going to need to do better than that. He will know that. 21 and 12, he looks compact. He definitely looks compact and organized at the crease, right? So I'm not doubting that about Tevin Imlach. Looks like he has the capacity to soak up some balls as well. He scored 33 runs in the 2 innings in total, soaked up 80 balls to do that, right? But you kind of knew he was going to get out before scoring substantially, because he was playing a lot of the spinners on the back foot, and I think he got caught out with that technique. Yes, 1 kept low. I think the 2nd dismissal kept low, but I don't think that was the best way to go about negotiating the spin in Delhi, and he got caught out both times because of it. Anyways, interesting talking point as to what we do when we go to New Zealand. Does Brandon King actually come in for Warrican and Chase just plays the role of the spinner? And we go back with our frontline seamers in Joseph Seales and probably Justin Greaves. Is that what we're going to do in New Zealand? And if we do that, then Imlach keeps his place. And that's probably, if you ask me right now, months before, at least one full month before the New Zealand squad is even selected and goes to New Zealand, that's probably what I'd be thinking of doing and giving Imlach a run in the side. But in terms of his performance in Delhi, 3 out of 10 for Tevin Imlach. And before anyone says to me, but Machel was tidy behind the stumps. Yeah, but as I have to keep reminding people, you're not selected in modern day cricket just because of how tidy you are behind the stumps. It's also got to be about how much you produce with the bat. 3 out of 10. Who's next on my list? Jomel Warrican. So Jomel Warrican was absolutely horrendous with the bat. No application whatsoever. I actually don't know what Jomel was doing with the bat in this series. So he was horrendous with the bat, but he's in the team to bowl. He took 5 wickets at 48 apiece. I want my frontline spinner to be more effective than that in conditions which favour spin. But then, given he completely outbowled Khary Pierre, how critical can I be? His economy was only 3 his economy was only 3 though. He was super economical, Jomel Warrican, in terms of they weren't clarting him around the track. He just wasn't able to bowl significant wicket-taking deliveries. 3 out of 10 for Jomel Warrican in this series. Keeps his spot as the premier spinner. Obviously, people will say, but what if Gudakesh Moulty had been there? Maybe he would have outbowled Jomel Warrican. But Jomel was there, not just because he's vice captain, but Jomel Warrican was there on form and on performance, right? He has been out bowling Gudakesh Moulty in this format of cricket. So I think it's a bit of a hindsight thing to go on, what if Moulty had been there and so on and so forth. But 3 out of 10 for Jomel Warrican. Khary Pierre, worth reminding people that Khary Pierre took 41 wickets in our domestic first-class season this year at 13 apiece. In this series versus India, in a series where spin dominated on the whole, he took 1 wicket across 2 test matches at 246 apiece, economy 3.7. There's levels to this. There's real levels to this. He didn't bowl bad. He just weren't effective. And truth be told, am I being harsh by saying so? Those of you who are watching this and commenting in the comments below, did he ever look like he was going to take more wickets? He didn't for me. 1 out of 10. 1 out of 10. And the 1 is because he took 1 wicket. 1 out of 10. Gudakesh Moulty comes back into the test. When we take 2 spinners somewhere again, Gudakesh Moulty comes back in. Unless they feel there's another more effective spinner in the game. And really and truly, this begs some questions to me about, when I keep saying to people in like different episodes that you can't just go on numbers in domestic cricket. Now you might understand why I always say that, and why I always say you've got to look at a man like... It's got to be more than just the numbers, innit? But then again, Sammy works with Khary Pierre in St. Lucia Kings, in CPL and stuff. So he's got close eyes on, and Athanaze is in that team, in the back room for that team. So is Floyd Reefer. So it's not like they don't have eyes on Khary Pierre, right? And they would have picked him for a reason. But boy, he weren't a threat in India. 1 out of 10. Anderson Phillip. Surprisingly, Johann Layne played instead of Anderson Phillip in the first test. They said that Johann Layne then picked up a shoulder injury after the first test, so Phillip played in the second test. He bowled 17 overs, no wickets for 71 runs, 2 maidens, economy 4.17. Phillip was more effective with the bat, however. He scored 26 runs in his 2 innings, right? But he faced 103 balls for those 26 runs, showing more application at the crease. Put it this way, Phillip faced more balls at the crease than Tevin Imlach. He faced more balls at the crease than Brandon King, Jomel Warrican, nearly faced as many as Tage. So... But then he's not in a team to, like, obviously there's no such thing as tail enders anymore. Everyone's supposed to bat, and Anderson leaves the series with an average of 26, right? High score of 24 not out. Everyone is supposed to bat. And Anderson Phillip, actually, he was part of that rearguard action with Khary Pierre and Jayden Seales in the first innings of the second test, which everyone's like, that showed the dressing room that you just need to apply yourself more. And we have to respect him for that. But did he look like somebody who was going to take wickets on this track? No, not particularly. He tried, obviously, he tried his best, but it didn't look like he was going to take wickets. None of our seamers looked like they were going to take wickets, not even Starboy, really and truly. So I'm not a big believer in giving somebody high ratings because of what they've done with another suit, which isn't their primary suit, right? But at the same time, we have to respect what he did in that first innings with the bat. 2 out of 10. And yes, some of you will say that's harsh, Mash. You should give him a higher rating, but his primary purpose was to take wickets, and he didn't take any. 2 out of 10. Johann Layne played the first test instead of Anderson Phillip, the youngster, the young Bayesian who hasn't even played for Barbados yet, right? Can you imagine? A man has made their international test match debut for the West Indies without even playing for their national side. Jaja. Anyways, he bowled 15 overs, no wickets for 38, economy 2.5. So that thinly veiled criticism, not of Johann Layne, but of the system, notwithstanding, that's good. That's good for the tall, rangy bowler. Got a lot of work to be done on his action, I think, and bracing that front leg more and so on and so forth. You can see why Sammy thinks highly of him and why they threw him into the fire and said, right, there you go, young, in you come. It's too much too soon. I mean, in his first-class career, Johann Layne has now played 20 matches and taken 66 wickets at 23 apiece. So it's not like he's some scrub. You're not like he's just some random Ute man who they just threw into the team. I get it. We all get that he's got ability. Should he have been thrown into the lion's den in Ahmedabad? I don't think so. Did he disgrace himself? No. Would I like to see him play again for West Indies soon? No. I'd like to see him play some 18 cricket. I don't want to see him play for West Indies again anytime soon, just because I don't believe that's the right developmental arc. I don't mind him touring with the squad, though. If we can get a couple warm-up games and he can get some reps in there, no problem. But I don't want to see him back in the test team again from a developmental for developmental purposes. Or a proper developmental pathway, but he didn't disgrace himself in Ahmedabad. So I'm going to give him 4.5 out of 10. Maybe I should give him 5. Let's say 5, given the context of his age and the situation he was in, etc. Jayden Seales, last player to rate. So Jayden Seales, star boy. Jayden had a hard time of it as well, you know. Jayden only took 1 wicket at 155 apiece, economy 3.5. 44 overs he bowled on the tour, 4 maidens, 1 for 155. Like Jayden, like he did what he could, innit? He tried his best. One of the things I'm going to defend Jayden, because the one thing I will say that I think Jayden struggled with, I'm a big believer that bowlers need to bowl in partnerships. And I think it was a big loss for Jayden to basically not really have a experienced partner. And when I say experienced, I just mean someone who's played a significant amount of international cricket, or what is significant. Like, it hurt the team to not have both Josephs there. And I think it hurt Jayden to not have both Josephs there, because we were effectively saying to Jayden when he came on to bowl, go on, do something. And knowing that at the other end, he's not necessarily got a bowling partner who's going to keep the pressure on as well. And I think that harmed him. Can't make too many excuses for him, because Jayden is relatively experienced now, right, at the international level, right? And to put in perspective, granted our players can't bat, but to put in perspective, Mohammad Siraj took 10 wickets in this series at 13 apiece. Bumrah, and obviously Bumrah is Bumrah. Bumrah took 7 wickets at 20 apiece. So the Indian seamers, it's not like they didn't take wickets; they took wickets. So we do have to look at Jayden Seales' performance and say, boy, I know there weren't really anyone there to support you, star boy, but we kind of needed you to take more than 1 wicket in this series. And Jayden, I don't think Jayden will be vexing me. I don't think he'll hide from that criticism. Like, he needed to take some more wickets. It wasn't healthy tracks for Jayden. He was bowling against players who are in their own conditions, and it's not like he was bowling at players who are the quality of West Indian batters, right? But then through his career, he's been bowling at players that aren't the same quality as West Indian batters, right? And he still managed to take wickets. So, yeah, poor series for Jayden, relatively speaking. We have to give him What did I gave Khary Pierre 1 for getting 1 wicket. Jayden Bowl better than Khary Pierre. 2 out of 10 for Jayden Seales. Let me know what you think, people, in the comments below. Little quick player rating episode there. Like I say, not expecting any of you to completely agree. It's all subjective. Get in the comments below and let me know what you think. But on your way out, as ever, people, you can support the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. Super chat, super thanks, buy me a coffee. All the links are below. Or you can become a patron. Go to www.patreon.com/CaribCricket for as little as £2, £2, £2, $2, to whatever your currency is. You get the link to our Discord group as well. That's where all the live chat goes down when matches are being played, etc., etc. Join the CCP community. At the very least, if you can't do any of that, on your way out, like, share, subscribe. Hit the notification bell to be notified whenever something is dropped on the channel, etc. We're on all the social media handles, and look out for an article that should be dropping, I hope, in the next 5, hopefully before the end of today. Just written a big article on should West Indies be in the second tier of cricket. Just interviewed Justin Greaves with regards to that. So I'm just putting the pieces together on that article. Subscribe to Caribbean Cricket News. Sorry, let me give you the actual website, because I always give you the wrong website. CaribbeanCricketNews.counterpress.media. Again, the link is in the descriptor below. Go and subscribe to that. The only place where you're going to find dedicated, detailed, written stuff on West Indies cricket from the CCP team. We cover all bases: audio, visual, written. CCP, no one does it like us. I'll be Machel St. Patrick, Q1 half Caribbean Cricket Podcast. Look out, more content dropping very, very soon. Until then, peace.
West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast.